Welcome to Create the Best Me. I am Carmen Hecox, a personal development coach, and I am so excited to be connecting with you today. Whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us on YouTube, my goal is to help women navigate through midlife challenges with compassion, inspiration, and empowering conversation. Each week, we'll dive into thought-provoking topics designed to build self-confidence, overcome invisible woman syndrome, and find the courage to create the best version of yourself. I'll also be joined by expert guests who will share the wisdom and insights. So make yourself comfortable and let's embark on this journey together. Are you ready to finally break free from the monotony of going through the motions in life? Tired of feeling lost and questioning your purpose? It's time to take control and discover the power of clarity. Our guest today, Janet Zavala, is a best-selling author and coach who has dedicated her career to helping people just like you find their purpose and live their best lives. She is here to share her expert insights and proven 3-step process to gain clarity, empower your purpose, and take your life to the next level. You'll learn how clarity and purpose are inexchangeably linked and how you can't have one without the other. Janet will also give you actionable tips and strategies to put into practice so that you can start seeing results right away. This is an episode you don't want to miss. So grab your notebook, let's get ready to take some notes, and let's dive in on how to gain clarity you need to live your most fulfilling life. Hello, welcome. Hi, Janet. Thanks for joining me at Create the Best Me podcast and YouTube channel. How are you?
I'm doing great, Carmen. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today.
Hey, I know that some of the listeners may not know who you are. So with that said, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Sure. I'm a transformational life coach and a writer. So I really work with clients to inspire them and help them create the best life for themselves by getting clear about what they want to achieve and holding them accountable for taking actions. So it's really, getting clear on what they want and working towards making those dreams and those visions for their life come true. So the way I think about transformation isn't about changing who you are. It's returning to the core of who you are before life's experiences created fear and doubt within you. So it's really returning to your true nature and believing that you are capable and able of creating that life that you want to live.
I understand that you have published one book and are working on releasing another book in the early spring of 2023. Can you tell us what inspired you to write both books, the book that you co-authored and the book that's coming out?
Sure. So it is Own Your Awesome. It's a collaboration book. There are 27 writers included. My chapter is called Honor the Landscape of Your Life. And I really kind of open up to my own vulnerability and my experiences, the trauma that I experienced when I was young and the challenges that I faced as an adult, and really taking those experiences and owning them and honoring them so I can take those experiences and those attributes that I gained, right? I developed strengths from those traumatic experiences. So with that, I've been able to apply those strengths to what I do now in coaching and writing and helping other people navigate their own healing. So that is Own Your Awesome.
Great. What about the new book coming? Well, before we go into the new book, I did a little bit of researching about you, and I just would like to read 2 reviews that some people have shared. This is written by Sylvia, and it was on Amazon. It says, "What I loved about Janet's chapter was her brutal honesty in sharing her tough childhood and early adulthood. Her life wasn't perfect, whose is, but she recognized it was time for action and move forward, and she is awesome and deserves more out of life. I really loved her message about being compassionate to ourselves as we explore the lessons we've experienced in our lives, and it works to our own strengths. There are some questions that at the end of the chapter will help you get started, which I appreciate. Another reader, Gina, said, "This book is the ultimate guide for personal development. Honor the Landscape of Your Life," written by Janet Zavala, is without a doubt one of the stories that will not only inspire you to begin your own journey of healing nagging wounds from the past that tend to interfere with the present, but she also shows how our experience also the source of our strength. I love how this author uses nature as a metaphor through her personal stories that reflects the landscape of our lives, which provides us the skills needed to transcend adversity. This chapter made me realize my struggles throughout my life have not been in vain, and I can achieve whatever I set out to do because my wounds have made me stronger and wiser. That realization in itself is so comforting. 5 stars. That's impressive.
Wow. And that is exactly what I wanted to achieve, that people realize that these things happen to us, but they do not define us. They do not limit us in who we can become. They give us these strengths that we can use. You've earned them, use them.
Perfect. So what was written in the chapter in this first book, are we going to expect more of that in the upcoming book?
Yes, yes. So the book that I plan to publish, it's called The Nature of Transformation. It's a comprehensive life coaching system inspired by nature to heal your mind, body, and spirit. So I take a lot of inspiration from nature, but I also weave in together my own stories and help people navigate through their own healing journey. And I use it or provide the reader with a comprehensive look at their lives, mind, body, and spirit, so they can understand that each area needs to be balanced and cared for in order to kind of live that fulfilling, joyful life that we all desire.
So this book takes a little bit about your own life experience, and you are a life coach. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so it integrates all that into a guide, workbook type of reading experience.
Yes. Yes. So the book is comprised of stories or research or different narrative that kind of grounds the person in the topic. I provide guided meditations with essential oil recommendations and breath work, inspiring nature stories of nature's transformation that aligns to the need for our own transformation. And then critical towards the end of each section is time with the coach. So this is where I give the reader journal prompts or questions that I would use as a coach with a client to navigate that topic area so they can gain a deeper understanding of what's holding them back and how they can move forward past some of their challenges.
Perfect. And I just want to also interrupt you here to do a little shout out. I'd like to read a couple of the reviews that people gave
Oh,
you
sure.
when they visited you for your personal coaching. And so here's Sandra. Janet is an incredible coach, and it is evident that she really loves helping others realize their full potential. I came to Janet at a time where I felt unfulfilled professionally and personally. I felt lost in my way. I kept looking in the wrong places for my purpose. She helped me see things from a complete different perspective and lens. I since regained my confidence and have been more intentional about pursuing what aligns my goals and aspirations. Her authenticity, kind heart, and amazing leadership shine through every conversation and session that we've had. Whether you are feeling like you aren't sure what to do next in your life and nothing you're doing is fulfilling your purpose, or you're simply seeking guidance and just need a soundboard, call Janet. It will be the best decision you've made. And then Joyce says, Janet is warm, genuine, and makes me feel very comfortable during our coaching sessions. She has helped me understand what motivates me and what I want to do versus what I think others think I should do. This clarity has given me the courage to pursue goals with confidence. Janet's coaching is actionable, positive, and provides me real results. I highly recommend Janet Zavala's coaching.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's kind words from some very strong women. So that's awesome.
Yeah. But I think what really resonated with me when I read both reviews, whether they were the book reviews and the coaching reviews, it was that you helped them find clarity.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I invited you on to this podcast because I'd like to explore that a little bit more with you, since it seems you've helped people, whether it's been one-on-one coaching or through a book that you wrote based upon stories that happened in your life, and you changed the narrative of how those stories were going to impact you. Either it was going to be a negative or a positive, but you took a negative experience and turned it into something positive. And, all that is clarity. So what does it mean to have clarity?
So I think for me, clarity is a verb. It's an action, right? I think that it's something that we're always seeking to define throughout our lives, right? It's always something that we should try to do and take time to do is seek clarity, because I don't think that we arrive at clarity, right? I think we develop clarity and we develop those ideas of who we want to be and what we want to do and how we want to show up into this world over time. So I think clarity is an action, and it's simply kind of lifting the fog in your mind of what you want to achieve. And I want to be clear that it's not the absence of fear or self-doubt, because those things will always show up, right? We'll always kind of fear or feel the fear and self-doubt because we might be embarking on something new or pushing past our boundaries. So those things are going to show up for us. But what clarity is going, I feel those things, but I'm going to push past those anyhow. I'm going to keep on going on my path because I know that I want something better. I want this thing in my life to materialize. So for me, clarity is always an action. And I heard once Carolyn Mace, she's an author and a teacher. She says the universe has a tricky way of kind of showing up and putting obstacles in your way while you're on your path, while you're trying to achieve what you want to achieve. And it's the universe's way of kind of saying, are you sure you want this? So clarity is like, yes, I do. And I'm going to push past this obstacle, this barrier to kind of really march down that path and try to achieve what I want to achieve.
Perfect. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of why we need clarity? Is clarity something that, in order to uh, accomplish anything in life, you have to have clarity?
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you abdicate getting clear about what you want in your life, you are either leaving things up to chance. So not being intentional with your actions or what you want to do, you're just kind of letting things happen to you instead of making things happen. So I think that's the first piece of clarity that it's so critical. And the other thing is that if you don't develop a clear idea of what you want to achieve, maybe you are manifesting somebody else's idea of what you should do, right? It's, and I think it was said in that review, it's like not doing what other people think I should do, but doing what I think I should do. So, I mean, it really brings you a greater feeling of joy and fulfillment and satisfaction, and certainly peace as you are getting clear with what you want and taking the steps to make those things happen.
That's really true. And speaking of my own experience, I remember when I turned 40, I began to question, it sounds kind of silly, but I questioned, what is my purpose? I've walked on this earth for 40 years, and here I am at the age of 40 questioning, what is my purpose, or trying to understand, what am I supposed to do? And I'm going to be
Mhm.
honest with you, it haunted me for about 3 to 4 years, just trying to figure out, what was I put on this earth to do? Is that common with women once they hit a certain age or in a certain season in their life?
Yes, I unequivocally, yes. I think that I see this in all the women that I speak to. I think that we begin our life, we're either surviving some childhood trauma or we're going to school, we're having the kids, we're setting up our career, whatever that career, sometimes I don't know for anybody else, but I just kind of fell into careers and jobs and did well, but it wasn't of my own choosing. I didn't choose to take that action. So I think that at a certain point in life, I think that there's a tipping point in a woman's life when you've done all those things, when you've set everything up, you've kind of maybe established some sense of security or some place in life where you're thinking, well, what else is there? Like I'm feeling this nagging feeling that there has to be something more. I am capable of so much more. We have at that point in time so much more confidence in ourselves, right? We've realized that we've survived a lot of things in life. So we come upon this point in time where we're thinking, what else? What else? And I think that nagging feeling exists in so many people, so many women.
Have you ever had any clients that perhaps they have that feeling that something's missing? They're exploring, it's nagging, it's resonating in their head that there's got to be more. Can there be a negative impact? Can some women maybe go, instead of exploring clarity in a positive way, perhaps seek it in a negative way?
Sure. I guess perhaps there's always an opportunity to lean back on your negative thought patterns and your trauma responses. I think that there's always that possibility. I think that if somebody is doing that and falling back on those responses, it might that they won't find that satisfaction that they're looking for, right? They won't find that fulfillment at the end of those trauma responses or negative thought patterns and behaviors. So I think that it makes sense at some point for people to look at how they can move forward in a positive way that is for the best outcome for themselves, their true selves, their core. So I think that it's always a possibility it happens.
Okay. So they could kind of see themselves constantly, like I know you used this phrase before, in that fog. That
Yes,
fog is still there and they may continue to seek because they're looking for clarity in the wrong direction.
absolutely. And they're looking for fulfillment outside of themselves. And you brought up purpose, like you were looking for your purpose. And I think that's an interesting topic. And I've got a little bit of a different spin on somebody finding their purpose. It was kind of a trending personal development topic several years ago, 10 years ago, or however long it was, that people are, I'm sure hundreds and thousands of books were written. Find your purpose. Let me help you find your purpose. And from my perspective, our purpose is not outside of ourselves. Our purpose is ourselves. Our purpose in life is to be the most healthiest, most fulfilled person, healing our traumas, getting past our barriers, really getting closer to that authentic self. So then we can bring our full enlightened self to this planet and to what you want to do as far as your passion is concerned. So I think that when you're looking for your purpose outside of yourself, that's kind of like a faulty ground to place that expectation on, that if you don't find it, then what? So you haven't found your purpose. Your purpose is you. Your purpose is always you.
So seeking purpose is more of a building from the inside and out.
I I love that. Yes. I think that's perfectly said. It's making sure that you're developing your own self, your authentic self, that you're weeding through all of the negative thought patterns and trauma responses that you've been left with that have separated you from that true fact that you are worthy and capable of living your best life.
Well said. Perfect. So tell me, what steps can we take, anyone can take to gain clarity?
So I think about it in a framework of purpose, passion, and inspiration. So we've talked a little bit about purpose, that finding that within yourself. And, it might take some time. Like this is a journey, but people really need to come to the understanding that they are worthy and capable of living their best lives. There's nothing that you've done. There's nothing that you could do that would take you out of that, right? We've all lived complicated lives, but it's really finding that understanding about yourself that you are worthy of living this best life. You are worthy of love. You're worthy of happiness. You're worthy of everything. So embodying that, I think, is the first step. So the second part is passion. So I'm passionate about coaching and writing. That is what lights me up. By doing that, I am being fulfilled. I'm thinking that I am helping others in this world by putting these things, putting my writing out into the world and coaching people, that I am able to live my passion. I think that this is where your intuition kicks in, right? This is where I used to have a little voice in my head at night, or when I first wake up in the morning or after my meditation. It would kind of whisper, you should write, you should write. It always come to me, you should write. And then my ego mind would push it away, going, nobody wants to read what I have to say. I haven't gone to school for and studied English or literature or writing, or I haven't done all that. All of the ego stuff to keep me small and keep me down. But always that little whisper when I had those moments of stillness, you should write, you should write. So everybody's got that voice. And I heard Glennon Doyle, she's an author as well. And she was answering a question from somebody who said, I get the whisper. I call it the whisper, your intuition, that you should write. And she said, well, then write. You're a writer. You should write, because people who are not writers do not get that whisper, right? They get another one. There's another one coming for them, but you're getting that whisper. So those whispers are not wrong. They have your highest good, your highest intention in mind. So, when you get those hits of intuition, voices in your head that tell you to do something, and if you can catch it before the ego steps in to stop it, you need to follow it, because it is not wrong. And then the final piece of that is inspiration, because somebody might be listening going, yeah, I got no whispers, right? I got nothing, right? And that's okay, because a lot of people, they haven't tapped into it. They've probably got all these experiences that have created barriers to hear their intuition. So what I say is, like, go out and find inspiration. Do something creative. Do something that, inspires you, or just kind of has this meditative effect. I love nature photography. I love gardening. I will never do these as a profession or something more formal, because these are my inspiration. When I do these things, I get inspirations about writing. When I do these things, I get other things from them. So if you don't have those whispers of intuition that kind of talk about your passions and what you should be doing, go out and find inspiration. Do something creative. Some people get it from exercise or doing creative activities, gardening or painting or writing or whatever that is. So follow your inspiration and just do that as much as you can.
So you're saying doing those things that give you inspiration could potentially feed into what you could be doing.
That's right. That's right. I feel like it's kind of like clearing the deck of all the debris that's left, right? And through it, you will probably be able to hear your intuitive voice a lot stronger. You'll just be more joyful. And when you're more joyful, you're able to kind of walk that path that you're supposed to walk. So doing these creative activities, it's never a waste of time.
Perfect. What kind of steps can we take to stay on course, seeking clarity?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things, and something that I think has changed my life, is the practice of meditation. So you need to start to get still and tap into your intuition. One of the best ways to do that is to have a regular meditation practice. But allowing yourself to incorporate mindfulness and meditation into your life will help you and will open up the channels for you to be able to hear your intuition more clearly. And it'll also allow you to start to eliminate the negative voice, the ego voice that says, oh, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, all of those kind of negative thoughts. Because if your intuition is saying do something, you should take a stab at it. So I think that's kind of the first thing. And then the other thing is action brings clarity, right? I think at a certain point in my life, I kind of tried to sit back. I think it was exactly when I was 40, right? I thought that the meaning of life and everything else would be presented to me magically. And I would just know, I would just have all the answers, but it doesn't show up. It doesn't knock at the door. Action brings clarity. So you need to take action. You need to try different things. When I was embarking on this kind of coaching journey, I had a friend who said, hey, why don't we go take this course over here? And it was a psychology course. And through that, I got introduced to the profession of coaching. I didn't even know it existed, right? So taking action, taking that course, if you like, hey, listen to that podcast and hear something that brings you to that action, because action will always bring clarity.
That's really important. I'm glad you brought that up. If you listen to my first podcast episode, EP001, I talked about this. Practice makes perfect. And when I think about practice makes perfect, because that's something I think we told each other as we're children. The act of practice is you're giving yourself permission to fail. I think we all are afraid of the word failure. But when you change the word of failure and identify it as practice, it makes it okay. And so, just like you said, action. You're not going to nail it the first time. You're practicing, but the more you put it into place, the better you're going to get. And I talk more about that in my episode 001. I think that's so cool that you brought that up and you haven't even listened to that episode yet.
Yeah, I think it's so true that you're not going to get to where you need to be by just kind of sitting there and not taking action.
Yeah, we're continuing to plan. Planning will get you nowhere without action.
That's right. That's right. That's so right.
Yeah.
I think another piece of is like, don't get too attached to an outcome, right? I'm going to be publishing my book and I want people to read it. I want it to be a success, but if for some reason it's not, then that's not a reflection on me. The journey and the value is the person I become by pushing past my barriers to actually publish the book, right? It's about who I become in the process, not the outcome. So I want people to not get too attached to an outcome. We do that because we want that. We want it to be perfect. We want success. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you stop and think about a lot of these famous painters. They painted these phenomenal paintings and they put it out there and it was kind of like, But now, once they passed on or time went on, these paintings are worth millions of dollars and these people are well known. So it's just because you put something out there today and it doesn't give you the results that you anticipated right off the bat, doesn't mean that 6 months, a year, 2 years, that may be the life cycle when that particular product is going to boom.
That's right. That's right. And you just never know what's going to happen. And along your journey, it might shift and become something else. And having a specific outcome that you're so tied to. And when you talked about failure before, it's like, that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you succeeded because you actually pushed through to make something happen.
Exactly. Have you, as you're working with your clients one-on-one, have they ever mentioned to you, because they're getting all this inspiration and all this clarity, and they find themselves in this kind of like crossroad where now they want two things. Have they ever told you, I don't know where to go because this sounds good, but this sounds good too. And I never had so many ideas come and flood and hit me in the face. How do you keep them focused on where they should go or guide them as to where they should go?
Yeah, I think that it's okay to be multi-passionate. It's okay to be interested in multiple things. And if you're looking at a crossroads, if you're thinking about shifting direction, if you're going this direction and now you want to go a different direction, it's okay to shift your focus. If you evaluate first that you're not suppressing some sort of fear by doing that, right? That you are not using this tactic as a
way of avoiding taking action,
self-sabotage. So that you're not avoiding going down a path because of self-sabotage, because of your fears are driving those decisions. So it's really good to get clear on if that fear is existing for you in such a way that you want to switch directions. So it's really important to identify that. If somebody evaluates, how do I feel if the ultimate outcome happened with this, right? If this kind of turned out exactly how I wanted, what feelings does that bring up? Does it bring up fear? Does it bring up any sort of other feelings? That could be the reason why they're wanting to switch. right? So I think that there's something to sticking with something as long as it feels aligned to your authentic self. But if you want to switch, or for me, I follow the two paths. I'm a writer and a coach. I love doing both of them. You can exist in more than just one way, right? It doesn't need to be an either or, it can be a both and. You can be both a writer and a coach. So you get to make that decision for yourself. And the other critical thing is that it will change, right? Right now, I identify as a writer and a coach. In 10 years, it might be something else, right? Because I've shifted. And that's okay because we change as soon as we kind of get or become who we want to become through these actions, we get turned on to something else. And that's okay too. So I think it's very individual with the person, whether it's fear and self sabotage or wanting to actually shift their focus.
So I would say evaluate and ensure that this fork in the road is not a avoidance.
That's right.
And could some people maybe identify this fork in the road kind of as an obstacle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if we always have a choice, we have a freedom of choice. Do we want to take the steps to overcome that obstacle? Is it worth it? Is the end result that you're reaching for, is it worth the challenges that you're facing now? And you get to decide. You get to decide if it's worth it. And I think that it's beneficial to push yourself past your comfort zone and your boundaries. But I mean, while also identifying if this is true to your authentic self.
Perfect. How do you help your clients navigate in getting clarity? Like Sandra, who said that she was lost. She had lost her passion professionally, personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And based just reading her review, it seems like you were able to help her figure out what she wanted. And there was a process. Can you explain that? In navigating and getting clarity. How did you help her? I mean, someone like her that comes in
Yeah.
with those same challenges.
Yeah. I think that looking at the barriers that they're presenting, right? As a client coming and saying, I want this, I can't do this, or I'm stuck in this situation. I think that there are thought processes that go into, leaving us in a certain situation. So what is it about that is keeping you stuck? Is the source a previous experience, previous trauma that makes you kind of believe that this situation is okay, or that you can't get out of it, or that you don't have the capabilities? So I think the first step is kind of working through the belief system that they have around the situation. So it's really that in-depth kind of coaching process, listening to the client, understanding what their words are saying, what's their map of the world, how does that affect how they're at, where they're at now. And then once we understand kind of what those thought processes are, then we go into kind of reprogramming those thoughts into ones that are empowering, ones that allow them to believe that they are capable of making a change or getting past this stuck place to get clarity about what they want. And I think it's important for them to dream. I encourage all my clients to dream big, right? Like, don't think about barriers. Don't think about anything that's holding them down or that's in their way. And I can't because of this person, or I can't because of this situation, or I can't because of money. Like, don't think about that. Like, think about the ultimate dream that you have. Maybe you had an inkling of it when you were a kid, dream big. So I think that is an important piece of the process, is to have people open up to possibilities.
So that's kind of like building a sort of a vision board, or
Absolutely.
taking them back to their childhood and say, when I grow up, I want to be X. You're re-engaging or giving energy back to that childlike belief of what you wanted to do when you grow up. But
That's right.
now you're an adult and you're dreaming.
That's right. I think that daydreaming is one of the best exercises that you can do for yourself, is to think about the possibilities of what you want.
So, how can people learn more about you and get a notification of your upcoming book?
Sure. So on my website, janetzavala.coaching.com, you can sign up for my newsletter. I don't spam a whole lot. I've signed up for so many newsletters and email lists, and I get a whole lot. So I just like to send something out once a month and kind of what I'm up to, where you can find me, what's coming up. So you can go and add your email address to my sign up. When you enter my website, it'll pop up. I can be found on all the social media channels, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the ones. But I also host a Facebook group. It's called Living Intentionally. So that is the place where I've kind of built a community where people get together and support each other. And we talk about the barriers that exist. And so I have weekly live chats on that channel, and I bring in people to interview, and it's just like a fun place to get inspired and have that community that is really like-minded and wanting to improve their lives and build something great for themselves.
Okay. And your coaching business, is that a one-on-one local coaching, or is that something that you also do online?
I provide virtual coaching sessions. So what I provide right now is a free 30-minute intake assessment. So this is where we kind of just get to know each other. What are your goals? We talk about kind of how we're going to work together and those things. So, and then I've got packages available. So that free 30-minute intake assessment is really key to kind of making sure it's a right fit, right? Because with any sort of service provider, you want to make sure that it's a right fit for you and for me. And so that really helps navigate that process.
Okay. So to wrap things up again, what were the 3 steps that people can take as far as getting clarity?
So the 3 steps that people can take to navigate clarity is understand their purpose. And their purpose is them. Your purpose is you to become the most healed, most balanced person that you can to manifest what you're supposed to manifest in this lifetime. The next thing is passion. So listening to your intuition to understand and work towards what you're passionate about. Mine is coaching and writing. Yours will be different, but listening to that intuition and working in those areas that you're passionate about. And then the last one is finding inspiration. So if you're having trouble with find what you're passionate about, go out into the world and find inspiration. Be inspired by the arts and music and nature and all the things around us so you can clear the pathway for that inspiration to show up.
Perfect. Thank you so much for giving us a quick tie back to the 3 tips to finding clarity. Janet, thank you so much. I will include links to how people can get a hold of you in my show notes. I will also include information about your prior book, or a link for your prior book that can be purchased on Amazon if you want to purchase it,
Yay.
and your upcoming book. If you
Great.
have any type of link or anything like that, that people can either sign up for to be on a wait list to purchase that or whatever, I will have all that information in my show notes for people to be able to get your information.
Great. Thank you so
So
much. What a fun conversation. Thanks for having me.
exactly. Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode. And what an episode it was. Janet's insights on how to gain clarity and empower your purpose in life were truly enlightening. I hope you learned a lot and are ready to take action. Remember, the first step is understanding that your purpose is unique to you and cannot be found in anyone else or bought. The second step is to pursue your passion, whatever that may be. And the third step is to find inspiration, which can often come from pursuing your passion. If you're still struggling to find clarity or need to reevaluate your purpose, I highly recommend contacting Janet. You can find her information and resources at createthebestme.com/EP004. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take action today. Start your journey to gaining clarity and empowering your purpose in life. Trust us, you won't regret it. And don't forget to visit createthebestme.com/EP004 to get all the information and resources you need to succeed. So until next time, take care and best of luck on your journey to clarity and purpose.